So here we're doing 9-6C, which is ACT rational functions. And our objective with this is to solve ACT problems using rational equations. So you will want to kind of follow along from the worksheet on Moodle. This is one thing, I'm not going to write it out like I did those word problems. So, because some of them aren't really, there isn't really much to write out. So, let's go ahead and look at our first one. But our first one is actually number 8 on the ACT. So x doesn't equal 0 or x doesn't equal 1, then 1 over 1 minus 1 over 1 minus x is what? And so what I actually need to do here, this is one of those complex fractions that I'm going to need to find my least common multiple. So I'm first going to rewrite this as 1 over 1 all over 1 over 1 minus 1 over 1 minus x. So what I'm going to do is I need to find my least common multiple, and actually too, in addition to that, because this is minus, I'm going to say plus a negative so that that minus does not get lost, just like we did with our complex fractions before. So looking at my denominators, my LCM is actually going to be 1 minus x. So that means I'm going to multiply this by 1 minus x over 1. I'm going to multiply this by 1 minus x over 1, and this by 1 minus x over 1. And so now I need to diagonally reduce. So there's nothing in the numerator to diagonally reduce, so I just get 1 minus x. Then in my denominator, nothing to diagonally reduce, so I get 1 minus x. However, in my other fraction here, the 1 minus x's do reduce, so then I'm just left with a negative 1. So now at this time, I want to combine like terms. So in my numerator, I have 1 minus x. In my denominator, the 1's actually eliminate, so all I have is negative x. So now what I would end up doing is I'm going to kind of write these separately, meaning that like if I had something like a 3 plus x over 5, I could write that as 3/5 plus x over 5 kind of deal. So that's actually how I'm going to rewrite this. And the only reason why I'm doing that is because of the answer choices on the ACT. If you look, not a single one looks like this, okay? So that's the reason why I'm going to rewrite it. Now, on a test, if you did not have answer choices, you could give me that as your answer. However, we need to find the correct answer choice to match it up. So I'm going to separate this as 1 over negative x plus negative x over negative x. Okay, so all I did was I wrote this fraction as, you know, separated that numerator and had my denominator. And so 1 over negative x is just negative 1x. Okay, nothing too crazy about that. So then I get, let me write this up over here. So I get negative 1 over x. And then negative x over negative x is just a positive 1. So then I have plus 1. So then I have to look, and if you notice letter A has the negative 1 over x and the positive 1. It's just written in a different order than we have. So therefore the answer choice here is letter A. So that's something with the ACT that you need to realize is you probably solve the problems correctly, but you might need to rework it and make it look different to be able to match the answers on the actual worksheet, on the ACT. So now let's look at number 49. So we want to know the solution set of 1 over x squared plus x minus 6 is less than 0. This is one of those you need to basically state your restrictions. Okay, for the most part, that's kind of what this is dealing with. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to factor. So I'll have to use the x method to factor. And when I do that, I get x plus 3 times x minus 2. So then what I'm going to need to do is basically I'm going to just need to set those equal to 0 as if I'm finding restrictions. Okay, so you have to think back to last unit where you needed to find restrictions. So x can't equal -3 and x can't equal +2. So the big thing is now I'm going to look at my answer choices. And I see two options, C and D, that have a -3 and a +2. Okay? Now, what you'll notice is letter C does not have an equal sign, but letter D does. But you have to remember, x can't equal those. So that marks off letter D, and it is letter C of -3 is less than x, which is less than 2. So that one is letter C. So now let's move on to number 48. I enjoy number 48 a lot. So just a hint. Anyway, so it says if 1 over r equals 1 over x plus 1 over y plus 1 over z, we want to know what r equals. So we have to get we have to get r in the numerator, and we need to get it isolated. Well, in order to do that, I need to get rid of the fractions completely. That's why this is in the rational rational expressions. So I need to find my LCM. It's actually super easy with this. It's just all of those denominators together multiplied. So rxyz, that is what I'm going to use. So rxyz over 1, oops, and then rxyz over 1. I'm going to multiply by rxyz over 1, and then rxyz over 1. So now I need to diagonally reduce. So on the left here, I can reduce those r's, so I'm left with xyz. Over here, I can reduce the x's, so I'm left with ryz. Plus, here I can reduce my y's, so I'm left with rxz. Plus, and then I can reduce the z's, so I get rxy. So now what I need to do, if you notice all of these on the right have an r, so what I can do is I can factor out the r. And then I'm left with yz plus xz plus xy. Okay, and again, you need to get r isolated. So that means I'm going to divide everything by yz plus xz plus xy. And I'm going to divide that side by yz plus xz plus xy. So now my final answer is r equals xyz all over the yz plus xz plus xy. So then I need to look at my answer choices there. And the only one that matches is letter C. What you'll notice is they did it as xy plus yz plus xz. The order really truly doesn't matter as long as all the signs are appropriate, which they are in letter C. So letter C is that final answer. Okay. I've got 3 more. I've got the other column of the ACT classwork, so we will look at that in the next video.